A lot of reels go viral as well, like when someone says MBA is a scam.
One is the opportunity cost of spending 2 years and not working. There's also ROI, that you consider.
Would you have been able to transition to product management without an MBA degree?
It's not that someone who's not done an MBA cannot grow.
Someone wants to get into product management. What are those top 3 skills?
One is customer empathy. As I mentioned, that you need to understand your customer. It's a very underrated thing.
If you're thinking about pursuing MBA, this video is going to be an eye-opener for you. Especially if you want to pursue 1-year MBA, this podcast will give you a lot of insights on 1-year MBA program versus a 2-year MBA program, on the ROI that you will get from a 1-year MBA program. In this episode, we have Swapnil Gupta, who is working at Adidas, and Guru Gopal Asthana, who is working at Mckinsey and have pursued 1-year MBA program from Soil Institute of Management, joining us. They have more than 10 years of industry experience. So let's understand from them more about why MBA and career after MBA. Thank you, Swapnil. Thank you, Guru, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you, both of you here. And while I have obviously introduced you to the audience as well, but I would like to hear from both of you a brief introduction, like basically your career trajectory before MBA. Why did you decide to pursue MBA? When did you do your MBA? And after that as well, how is your career trajectory looks after MBA? So maybe we can start with any one of you. Swapnil, maybe you?
Hi everyone, I'm Swapnil, working as a digital product manager with Adidas. It's already been more than 3 years now and going strong. But how I started my journey was after my engineering. I got placed with Infosys as a campus placement. Worked as a developer for almost more than 5 years, switched a couple of jobs, and then I planned to do my MBA. I want to do a 1 year, and that's why I chose Soil. So I had a marketing stream here. And then I started working with Mckinsey, which is into B2B e-commerce, and that is where my profile actually changed. I joined as a product manager, again switched a couple of jobs, and that's how I finally got into Adidas. Yeah.
Got it. Guru, from you?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, I'm Guru, and I started as an engineer working in Cognizant back in 2012. Was there for 3-4 years, and that was the first job. And after that, I decided to pursue an MBA. That's when I came across Soil. I was in Pune back then, and this was here in Gurgaon, so I had to make a shift. But talked to a lot of alumni, got to understand the value, and decided to do my 1-year program in marketing from here. Post that, the journey has been quite great for me. After a year, there was a campus placement for a company called Authbridge, which is into like HRMS kind of solutions. That has more of a startup kind of a culture. And they preferred people with MBA and engineering backgrounds because that was the kind of role which mattered. Was there for 3 years, and after that I switched to Mckinsey, which is my current company, and I've been working with Mckinsey and company for almost going to be 5 years in 2-3 months, and it has again been, the journey after MBA has been upwards. Fingers crossed.
Great to know that. And it's very interesting because both of you pursued 1-year MBA, and I think it's the first time that I am having guests on my channel who have pursued 1-year MBA. So mostly I have people who have done a 2-year MBA, and it's going to be a very interesting conversation because people want to hear what exactly this 1-year MBA program is, the benefits, drawbacks of a 1-year versus a 2-year MBA program. So I'll go into that. But before that, I'll come to a very standard question. Like, why did you decide to pursue MBA? Like for both of you, again, very standard answer. You can go back to your interview days as well, like what was going on in your mind and everything. And I think it will be a great one for the audience as well. Whoever is either deciding whether to pursue an MBA or not, and at the same time, basically preparing answers for the interview as well. Why MBA? So again, we can start with Swapnil. Why did you decide to pursue an MBA?
So then I decided because I was into development, very technical side of it, did development, did support. But then I didn't understand, the business part of it. So to put in a summary, I would say that I wanted to understand business, as MBA says. But when I say business here, the main reason is I was into a product-based company, which is FICO. They build a lot of analytics products. And the thing I missed was that I would work on my own modeling, like a very small piece as a developer, But then the larger story was missing for me. Like, what is the big picture? Why is this product being launched, for example? Or maybe what's the business impact of it? We would just deliver a feature and that's about it. Your space is very small as a developer. So that's where I felt, I need exposure. I need to learn stuff that what is really a business goal or why is something being launched. So that was my main trigger to do an MBA. Moreover, I didn't enjoy coding. That was another spark for me. So that's where I started looking for options. And 1 year specifically was, for me, was because I had already worked almost for 5 years. So, I already had that market experience or that industry experience. So I didn't want to go into a 2-year one. And this one is very rigorous. So it almost gave me all the things which a 2-year would have given. So that was my main reason. Yeah. Guru, you can go ahead.
Right. I personally feel to grow in the current corporate culture that we have, the service-based industry booming, MBA plays a very vital role. This is for all of your guests listening. I think it plays a very vital role if you want to grow into someone who understands overall aspects of things, right? It's not that someone who's not done an MBA cannot grow, right? It is also sometimes a personal choice. If you are a person who wants to work alone, you are someone, who's a coder who just wants to put your head down and start coding. Or if you're someone who interact with people, like to go to visit to the client, understand their problem, solve their problem. If that is something that, gives you motivation or excites you, I think that is something that should drive one's decision to do an MBA or not do an MBA.
So now coming back to your jobs, Swapnil, starting with you. So what exactly does a digital product manager do? I will not go into specifics of a particular company because I want the audience to understand basically what exactly does a digital product manager do in any company. So if you can just highlight on that particular role.
Yeah. Okay. So digital product management actually, to put it into very layman terms, it's about building a product from concept to launch. And the two main things you need to take care of is that you meet the business goals and also the customer needs are met. So, for example, let's say, I'll just give you an example of a web application. Let's say Adidas.com, for example, okay? You have to build something there. You have to launch a new program of gift cards. So now, how would you do that? There's an end-to-end life cycle for anything, right? First, how it would look on the website. That is the design aspect. So we don't do that alone. We have a design team for that. But then you should guide it from a product manager perspective. Okay, this is how the feature should look, how the users would discover it. So that is your game plan. But the design team definitely helps you out because they are the ones creating the Figma designs. Then it's about the journey. Like what is the current journey a customer sees on Adidas.com? And tomorrow when you launch this program, what the journey would look like? What would be the flow of the journey, right? So these are the aspects we take care of as a product manager. And then there are a lot of steps to it. I'm just talking more about the conception part. But then up to the launch, there are many, many steps. How you deal with a lot of stakeholders here. You have to deal with the entire tech team who builds this product. And then you have a market to deal with who gives you these, from where you take all these insights, what is needed by the market. And finally, there would be testing, there would be UAT, and then there is a launch. After the launch, again, there are many steps, like there are market communication which needs to be happened. There are things you need to tell the customer that, okay, we went live with the feature. How do you give this feedback to the customer itself that you need to find this feature now? So there will be some campaigns running there. So on and on, this entire journey is managed by a product manager.
Got it. And like if I ask you top 3 skills probably that a product manager needs, or maybe if someone wants to get into product management, what are those top 3 skills? So, or it can be like more than 3 as well if you want.
Yeah, I mean, there can be many. But for me, top 3 would be, one is customer empathy. As I mentioned, that you need to understand your customer. It's a very underrated thing. Especially in B2B markets, okay? In B2B product management, sometimes we think that the customer is giving us a lot of solutions and we kind of get misleaded there. But that's not the case. You need to really understand the pain points and dive into it, which can be done by many ways. Like here, what we do is we get into a lot of user interviews before anything is launched. So we get all the markets together. We ask them that this is a feature we are thinking of. Does this really solve your problem? Or what is the current problem? And then finally, after taking that summary from all the markets, we come to a conclusion. So that's why it tops the chart for me. And then there is communication, because you need to communicate a lot of things to a lot of people here. one, definitely the stakeholders. It can be business for some people, it can be customers for some people. In B2B product management, we have a lot of business people around. So you need to keep them informed. Then when you launch something, you need to inform the users. There are different ways of doing it again. So communication plays a key. And then collaboration. And again, collaboration is very, very important because you need to get the work done. So when I say product management is about launching a product, so I cannot do it alone. Nobody can do it alone. You have a tech team behind you, you have a design team behind you who actually does that work. So if you cannot really do that collaboration, the product is never a go live, or you never meet the deadlines for that matter. So that kind of camaraderie, I think you should really have. So, yeah.
Got it. And because you are already in a systems engineer role, already in a software role, so do you think would you have been able to transition to product management without an MBA degree as well? Like if someone wants to do that, is that also something that is possible, or no, an MBA degree would probably is required to get into such kind of a role?
So I'll give you 2 examples here. For me, it really worked well because it was a lever for me to change my profile. After MBA, I could get into product management. And before that, it wasn't really easy for me because when I was with FICO or Prevenus, I didn't really have that option because for a techie, it's not easy to all of a sudden, to move into product management. People don't believe in you because you need experience, right? Or you need that kind of skill set. So either you find somebody who really believes in you and he can give you that change of profile. But if not, MBA, it gives that step up to you. But there are scenarios where I've seen people moving as well without an MBA. So for example, in my previous company, there was this guy who was a QA. Now QAs really understand, the product because they do testing end to end. They understand the journeys. But what they need to understand is more on the business side of it then. What is the business impact? Does it really impact my sales, or does it really save my cost? Anything. So if you understand that, you can make that switch. So QAs and business analysts, these are two roles I've seen majorly moving to a product management. So for me, I would say MBA is not a must, but it gives you a pivot to change the profile. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks a lot for this. And now coming to Guru, now your profile and basically your work. So again, the same question for you as well. Like what exactly does a solution delivery specialist do at McKinsey? So what exactly is your role?
Sure. So I think the answer would be similar to what Swapnil shared with us, but obviously with its nuances and differences. But I'm still gonna, just speak about that. So so we have a solution track in McKinsey, right? And McKinsey mostly deals with B2B clients. So we are serving globally, we are serving retailers, we are serving pharma companies, we are serving healthcare organizations, government organizations. So it's mostly we are consulting businesses, right? And now there are some businesses who just need the consultation for like 6 months or a year, but there are some businesses who want to, get into a subscription model, kind of get onto a solution or a tool as such, and use it for year after year benefits. So these are 2 different models. Now the second model is where a solution specialist come into place, where you are actually creating a solution for your clients to use it. It's not just that for the 6 months when you're working, you get the benefit. The solution utilizes clients' data to a great extent and gives you insights of what to do. These are futuristic solutions that tell you, okay, if you do something like this, what would the forecast of be? How would you, make your sales better? And for a solution guy to reach this end goal of one line, which I just said, value to the customer of how to make more sales or more profit. That is where a solution person has to think from an end-to-end perspective of what is the requirement, right? That's requirement gathering. What are the tools or the mechanisms that you have at your disposal? Okay, then reach out to different teams. We have development teams, testing teams, QA teams, multiple business holders at stake. So need to do stakeholder management. That's important piece. Need to have proper communication. You're like a bridge between the technical team and the business team, giving you requirements. You kind of convert the technical jargons to the business team to make them understand, okay, what is the value? And then you also translate the business terms to the technical teams make them understand, okay, what is that exact drop down and whether you need it and how does a checkbox is better than a select box. Get into those kind of details with your developers in a day in, day out kind of an environment. So yeah, those are the major things that we do. Then there are, continuous development efforts happening, releases, you bring new features to your client, you do multiple client calls, you do client visits, you do demo to them, you show them, you work in an agile fashion with everyone, not waterfall. I think is not something which is happening nowadays a lot. Most of the organizations are getting into agile. So those are the things that, you do day in, day out. It's more like handling a product only. It's similar to a product management, but that product is very customized to a specific client need. And for every client, customize it differently, add flavors to it of that industry. And then you give it to them in the shape and manner that he wants it. So you're basically handling a product, but it's a solution for the end customer that's going to use it.
Got it. And again, most of the people in this role are hold an MBA degree, or is it kind of a mixed profile?
Most of them have an MBA degree. So we have two major streams. One is a data stream and one is a solution stream that we have. So the data guys are mostly engineers. There we don't have MBAs. But the solution guys who have to, do a lot of talking, do a lot of presentation making, Excel work, bringing business together, aligning different people. That is something where the company mostly prefers to have MBAs. And if with a technical background, that's like a cherry on the cake. So that's a very good combination, I think. And so, just to answer your question, it's not like a mandatory. Obviously, things are flexible. Companies look at talents and they recognize it. But MBA definitely adds that edge, or, gives you that extra edge among other competitors if you had. So, if someone is going through a selection process and they find, okay, someone who's an MBA while others are not, kind of you get that preference. That's how the HR structure, that's how the corporate structure works, I think.
Got it. So coming to your MBA experience, basically, because both of you pursued a 1-year MBA program, and compared, say, to a 2-year MBA program, the kind of curriculum I think that you have is kind of similar to a 2-year program, but obviously it's plays better in 2-year MBA program. So 1-year MBA program, what has been your experience like? Is it too hectic, or are all the things that an MBA degree requires, was it covered? What's your take on that 1-year MBA program? Both of you again.
So I chose 1-year MBA program because, as I mentioned, that I already had a good amount of industry experience. So I really didn't, want to go for a 2-year one. Moreover, I think from curriculum perspective, they cover everything. Just that it's a bit hectic. So rigorous, like the first 2 quarters were very rigorous before we went into internship. Internship is around 1.5 months. So before that period, it's really, really intense. So what the 2-year MBA program does is they don't have that stretched core, which we would have, because the internship happens in the second year, and then the second year is more relaxed in their case. But from curriculum perspective, I think everything is covered. We learned everything from financial to marketing to product. So everything is covered. So as per me, if somebody who has industry knowledge already and doesn't want to invest 2 years, 1-year MBA program is really good.
Got it. And any different opinion, Guru, or anything more to add here?
Yes, I think mostly things that one considers is, one is the opportunity cost of spending 2 years and not working. There's also ROI, that you consider. And obviously, whatever Swapnil said made sense, absolute sense. Just to add to it is, now we are working in organizations where we have a lot of 2 years MBAs, right, working along with us. And there is no difference. It's never that, I or someone else feels that, okay, this is a 1-year guy, so, he lacks something or something like that. It's just the same.
Got it. That's a very interesting point, because this ROI thing, a lot of people do not consider. It's 2 years you forego your salary, and it's just 1 year that you forego your salary. So definitely that's an interesting point. And do you see podcasts and a lot of social media reels? Because
I think all of us do.
Yeah, because the next topic that I'm coming to is basically you would have seen on social media a lot of people, a lot of reels go viral as well. Like when someone says MBA is a scam, like it's not worth it and stuff and stuff. But from your perspective, I'll make the question simple for you. Like, would you have been able to reach your position so fast if without an MBA degree, or like was MBA useful for you to reach where you are right now? So I'll put it very simply to you.
Sorry. I think it definitely is. I mean, I have seen a lot of stand-up comedians, make joke about it, right? Maybe they are engineers who dropped out, pursued something else. But I don't know how this, joke came to life, but I don't really think it's a scam. There's a huge difference, right? I have so many engineers, like people, technical guys working under me, and everyone wants to understand business. Everyone wants to grow at some point in time. But then you don't have that acumen to understand things at that level. MBA does that to you. When you're, reading hundreds of case studies, how a certain organization shifted, when you're doing a design thinking class where you know how to think out of the box, when you're doing financials, you understand terms like top line, bottom line. And when you're talking to an executive level guy in the firm, right? 10 people are sitting in the room. The engineers don't have an idea, right? They don't know what a top line or a bottom line is. If the solution does better, how is it going to impact the overall EBITDA of the organization, things like that. So when you have to get into that kind of discussions with your clients, you have to convince them, you have to make your point, you need to know the business. And to understand business, I think MBA is the key to, unlock that door.
Got it. And I think the network as well, right? Like you will have all of your batchmates as well, like in different jobs. So referrals and stuff, everything gets easy, I would assume.
Easy in the sense, sorry?
Because there are people already, your friends are already there in certain companies that probably you are aspiring to maybe switch or something. So understanding what kind of roles are open in those companies, getting referrals in the companies, also understanding about different roles in general, just like as knowledge. So that will also help, right? I assume you would be in touch with your batchmates.
Yes. No, that's a valid point, I think. You wanted to say something?
No, cool.
So I think that's a very valid point. We have our MBA. I mean, you also have batchmates from BTech that I'm in touch with. I also have my batchmates from MBA that I'm in touch with. But in terms of referrals and all, if it's an MBA guy and you want to, refer, kind of it becomes, he's a bit of a cream when you look at the crowd, depending on the role.
Right.
So yeah, that definitely. Yeah. So if I want to refer someone, two people come to me, one is an MBA and one is a non-MBA, right? So I know the one who's an MBA, the HR is going to give more preference to that guy. So that's a way we can say that.
And another thing, since both of you come with work experience, after work experience, you decided to pursue MBA. So, and in India, it's specifically a lot of freshers also go for an MBA degree. So want to understand from your perspective, does work experience help, like once you go to an MBA program, does that work experience help, or freshers versus work experience? Like how would you have preferred it? Like, would you have gone to an MBA degree as a fresher, and would it have been different for you? So starting with Swapnil, and then I really want to understand this from both of you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think some amount of experience is good to have, because then you really understand the business processes, if not in depth, but you at least start getting that exposure, that what is it to be in a market, and how a business runs, what are the different objectives of a business. So all these basic things, at least you are already aware of, and that if you get into MBA, you at least apply that kind of knowledge before you deep dive into it. So as per me, if I had 5 years, which was more, but 2 to 3 years, I think even that's enough. So that kind of knowledge would be really helpful for someone who's starting their MBA.
Got it. And Guru, from you?
Yeah, I had 3 years of work experience before I joined Soil. But I think it's, for me, because I had an experience, I think I can tell you from that perspective. I also have freshers running in the company. But if I really think hard, I do feel having a work experience again gives you an edge. I mean, if you're reaching a place in 5 years, maybe your fresher might take, 6 to 7 years to be there. Where with your experience, you can, be there in 4 to 5 years. I think there is some difference because if we just sit and think, right, when we were freshers just out of college and we went into an organization for the first time, how did we feel, right? How are we trying to grasp things and execute things? So if you are a fresher out of college, you have never had a work experience and you're directly jumping into business, I think that might be a bit overwhelming and that might take its own time, to grab and then start executing. Whereas if you have, taken one step at a time, just, after college, you do a tech job or any kind of job, where you're working for certain processes, certain things, not the overall thing. Then you do a higher study and then so that step-by-step thing kind of builds up and helps you to gradually go at that level where you aspire to be. So I think for me, it would always be have 2-3 years of work experience and then where.
Just to add to this also, I realized when I was in soil, like we were going through the placements process. So the kind of filtering which happens even at your resume level, there is weightage given to your experience. Like I really had the benefit of this, that they saw my tech experience. And when, for example, I was applying for a business analyst role here with intellect design. So they could really see that I at least understand what is an agile process, what the end-to-end journey looks like when it comes to a project. So these kind of small things, small details really help when we could apply for any other role. Versus people who had no experience, they had a tough time, I would say, a bit of tough time because then the interviewer doesn't have anything to refer to other than, just your academics. So.
Right, completely makes sense. And coming to a last question, since both of you are there working in the industry in very good positions, want to understand about the job market, especially because of the fact what I see is obviously job market is difficult and as you can see like around as well, but there's the number of applications for MBA keep increasing every year. This year as well, the number of CAT applications will increase. So the competition to get into a very good B school keeps increasing every year. And then obviously there's this news that the job market is not so good and stuff. So want to understand, since both of you are from the industry, want to understand from your perspective, how does the job market look like when you are there in the company?
Okay. So job market is not great. It's a bit tough right now. And I think it started all from the Twitter layoffs. So, companies started understanding that now we need to be profitable or how we do cost cutting. So that just has boiled out to this now. But having said that, so two main reasons I think it's tough. One is because you have so much of skill right now in the market, which is without job. So there are people who have better skills, they don't have a job, they are okay to even join at us, lesser package versus an experienced person who has a job. So that's one main factor. The other thing is because of this inflow of skill set right now in the market, the interviewers or the hiring managers are also very choosy, so you need to have that edge. If you are competing, for example, if I even apply today, so it's not just me, there are some 300 applications which are going for one single role of a product manager. And there was a time when I saw there was no hiring, like it was freeze completely, like the starting of the year, I can tell you from January to let's say June, that 6 months, there were no hirings happening. So that's where the hiring managers are also thinking that we need to have people who are more data driven. So, and all about, AI, there was so much of talk about AI and machine learning happening, generative AI. So that is another thing that you need to pick on some new skill set as well. Like we cannot just rely on the traditional interview that, we need, just talk about the skill set. No, that's not going to work. So that's why I would say it's tough, but then nothing is unachievable. Everything is possible. People are still switching jobs. Maybe not at a great package, but yeah, the market is opening slowly.
Got it. And Guru, since like consulting companies usually are hire the most of the people from MBA colleges. So would like to understand from you as well, like how does this market look like?
Yeah. No, I think I agree with what Swapnil had to say. The market globally is dry right now. Right? India, I think mostly is a service-based company. So if US or UK or Australia is slow, that effects come to us, which kind of reciprocates and shows over here. I think that's the effect. Definitely the skilled labor is increasing. We have a lot of every day we see news, right? For some small post in a government organization, we have people who've done masters are applying for it. So it has been like that, I think. And especially for a consulting firm, you have so many people, you have so much choice now that we are choosy. We're like, we want to get the best for us. And in doing that, the people who are applying, they kind of don't have the power in their hands. The power kind of has shifted to a huge extent to the organizations and to the companies. That's a shift. But what we are hearing from our leaders is that in the next 2 years, it should get better. The economy should see a boom. There was an expected downfall that did not go that bad. So, and India is still doing pretty good. Like India is doing good. We are still hiring at a good pace. We are hiring a lot of people. But I mean, like overall, it's not that good how maybe it was 3-4 years back.
Got it. So like what I could make out from this is like, obviously it's not so good, but it might get better. That's like the current understanding. Also, if you want to survive in this kind of a market, it's better to have more skill sets because that is what will help you get in. So that's about it. But just one last thought, that because a lot of my viewers here would be going into MBA colleges, will be joining MBA colleges next year or this season itself. So want to understand from both of you, like if you can give them a message, like what exactly is the mindset they should join an MBA program with, and like what are those key takeaways they should basically take from an MBA program, whichever college or whichever program they join. So again, from both of you, maybe starting with Swapnil, or any message for the candidates?
I think they should be ready for a lot of learning. There is a abundance of learning which happens here, and also for the pressure, because the kind of pressure you get, like for us, it was 1 year, as I said, it was very rigorous. So there are times when people want to quit, and that's not the phase you want to get into. So always think it as a learning which will reap you fruits in the next 2 to 3 years. And that pressure also gets, once you enter the industry, now I understand actually. There are times when there is so much of pressure on you for delivery or something not running well, there are releases gone wrong, but then you need to, as a human being, you need to learn to handle that pressure. So that is what an MBA teaches you. And the kind of exposure you get, again, that's amazing. So yeah, just be open to all the learnings and don't fear these small obstacles.
Got it. And Guru, message from your side?
Yeah, I mean, I could add 2 points. One could be always be very proactive and active in your 1 year or 2 years of program. Be it cultural things, be it preparing for speeches, be it participation in the class. Sit together with a group of people when you're doing your homework, when you're preparing your cases. Just do a lot of interaction. Be very participative. Talk to teachers. Don't try to make MBA does not work in silos. MBA is something that teaches you to mingle with people, talk with people, interact with people. Always do that. And the second would be always be very clear of your interest areas. Because MBA will give you everything. It will give you economics, it will give you maths, it will give you statistics, it will give you so many things. But always have your interest area and focus on that. For me, it was marketing. I always wanted my career to be marketing. I did study everything. I passed in everything. But always have that interest and don't wait for the courses to complete and then kind of think, okay, now what do I want to do? Do I want to sit for a financial firm's interview or a marketing firm's interview? You should have that clarity that really helps throughout the journey when you're going through the courses and doing the learning. So these 2 things.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Swapnil. Thank you so much, Guru, for taking out time doing this. I'm sure the audience will learn a lot from this one, especially about like 1 year MBA programs, why they should pursue MBA, why they should not pursue MBA as well. So those kind of clarity, I'm pretty sure my audience will get. And again, thank you for this session.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.